Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, Anna, for that kind intro, and also want to thank Lindsey and the rest of the Women Who Code Data Science leadership team for putting this together and for setting me up for success. All right. So
Thank you.
I do want to start by saying that the title of today's talk is a little bit confusing to start with. It was data product ideation in the age of AI, and I was thinking to myself last night, how can I make this more immersive? And so thought probably the better way to do this is to literally show you what we're building and what our philosophy is behind building things like Tableau Pulse and our AI innovations in Tableau. Towards the end, I'll share a bit of my own thinking towards, hey, here's what we think that will help you to further advance your career, further advance your approach and your intent in building data products. And with that out of the way, just a little bit myself. So I'm currently a PM at Salesforce, driving Tableau AI efforts, and Tableau Pulse is the current project that I'm working on. And I consider myself a proud polyglot as well as a proud Quaker. So for those of you who also went to Penn, hoorah for the red and blue. So outside of work, I always love talking about this. I love classical guitar, biking, skiing, badminton, and a few other sports, and also pure Marvel fan. So if you are a Marvel fan, love to connect. But also if you're a DC, which a lot of my friends are, fortunately, also open to talking, but don't expect me to be like, yay, I'm super excited or whatever. Anyways, all of that out of the way, I want to say that I am super, super excited. That's where my passion is combining AI and data to really empower the everyday people, not just people who know how to code, or not just people who know all the technical skills to do data-related stuff. Having that said, this screenshot, I knew I had to show this because I did that in other talks as well. That little profile picture that Lindsey was kind enough to put together as my headshot, that was actually taken from Dreamforce, and I was very fortunate to be up on stage to demo our vision for Pulse. This was like this past year. Feel free to look it up and whatever. It's on Salesforce Plus. It's a little plug there that you can see all the other amazing contents. All right, so and before we actually get started, this is just a slide that I have to go through as usual. Some forward-looking statements. This is basically like if you're a customer or someone who's thinking of buying or using Tableau, everything we're about to showcase today are forward-looking, and please base your purchasing decisions on existing capabilities. All right, and can I get a quick show of hand of how many people who actually know what Tableau is? Okay, great. From my view, I can only see one hand, and that's probably Lindsey's. I knew this was coming, but anyways, should have done a better job. Oh, I see two. And I'll quickly go over what Tableau is in a bit, and just give you a full understanding of what we're building towards, where we came from. But really, Tableau's goal has always been helping people see and understand data. And there's two pieces to it, right? One is the people piece, the other one is data. And you'll see in a bit how that comes together. And one statement I do want to make here is that the landscape of analytics has always been changing. If you think about 2003, that's when Tableau started. Before that, it's always been traditional reporting, where there's tabular reports that's flowing around. It helps people see the data, but really, when in terms of understanding what's going on with the data, it's a little hard, right? You can't aggregate over it. It's you can't visualize it in a way that's more intuitive. And so that's why Tableau was born, is to provide a really easy way to drag and drop so that you have this beautiful visualization and put it in a form of a dashboard so that you can share with others as well. And that's what we call like self-serve analytics, in the sense that it's so intuitive, even though there's a learning curve, but once you know the tool, it's going to become a part of your workflow. And but we're not stopping there, right? And we still think fundamentally that there's a gap between people and data. It's fundamentally what we're trying to do is to enable everyone do analytics, not just the select few who know how to use certain coding languages or use Tableau itself. So that's what our vision going forward is, to help people see, understand, and even act on data. And it's not just that, right? We really have to reimagine the entire end-to-end data experience. If you think about where data comes from, which I'm sure a lot of you in this call are familiar with, working with various programming languages, doing things like in Python, Jupyter Notebook, to actually, to generate all those findings and build models on top of them. It always starts from the data. But one thing I want to point out is that in the corporate world, there is still a lack of trust and accuracy in the sense that there are so many applications born with data and leveraging data in an average enterprise. And the lack of accessibility is also insane. From our research, we learned that almost 70% of the executives are still uncomfortable using data as a part of the workflow and to make decisions. And so fundamentally, we believe that the gap between insights and action is so huge. So the problem comes to be, how do we empower that group of people to actually interact with data? And as I'm sure you're aware, and as part of this talk has already marked up, we're talking about generative AI a little bit, sort of. And so if you think about the recent developments in generative AI, right, it's really taken off. If you think about how ChatGPT blew up in a matter of days, not weeks or months, but days compared to other previous software programs, it's absolutely insane. And the biggest thing here is that it's not just something that's going to go away all of a sudden. It's almost like an enabler for future technologies. How do we integrate this to other stuff, and how do we bring other stuff into it? And but at the same time, generative AI is raising questions. If you think about the risk of hallucination, which I'm sure you've heard of or have seen from your own trials, these things are always prone to having potentially biased, toxic, or inaccurate, inappropriate generations. How do we tackle those things while also ensuring that the content that's generated abides by your by the ethics and abides by accuracy? And the other thing I want to point out here is that generative AI is not the only problem, and in fact, it's not the problem; it's a solution. But if you look at the actual problems out there and recent events, other developments, these are the things that we think also have huge implications for how people in general just use data or consider applications in general, right? If you think about market dynamics, there's an increased focus on improving trust. And how do we build more resilient businesses? And in terms of remote work, and in fact, even in this call right now that we're doing this remotely, people want and people need virtual ways of accessing, sharing, and collaboration. And there's data complexity. And this goes without saying, but on the ongoing data explosion itself creates all these different silos of tooling or applications that carry some weight of data. And how do we bring them together in a shared view so that everyone can act on it? And there's also Internet of Things. And for instance, how do we have new methods for capturing, exchanging data? And the implication here is that how do we use these data that's shared real time to enable real-time action? And so I do want to pause there a little bit and say the problem that we're trying to solve here again is your people and your data. How do we bridge the two, right? And this is from a recent research with Gartner that shows that almost 70% of the people in an organization are not using data. And in fact, those are the people that their job, do not really require data, right? There could be people in finance and sales and marketing. And how do we really deliver insights and empower actions from data to those people? And that's why we think that organizations in general need new tools to bridge and adapt so that your people are actually acting on your data. And so a simple thought experiment there could be, hey, we got all these bunch of amazing AI innovations, and we have Tableau's unique capabilities to visualize data. What if we put a plus sign between the two? And that goes without saying, Tableau has always been an AI. And it's until this past year that we've really consolidated our strategy into these three general buckets. It started off with, how do we supercharge our analysts, which are the community of folks that have been with Tableau, that are using Tableau to drag and drop and create all these beautiful visualizations and dashboards for the end consumers. How do we supercharge their current workflow? And it's also about giving admins in general a trusted foundation to really build that trust and responsibility in what they deliver through data, through insights, through all those contents they deliver. And most importantly, and this is where I stand, is how do we empower the everyday people, your business users, with data and insights? And so that overall brings to, sort of the topic today, which is Tableau AI. And this is to clarify sort of like a suite of capabilities that we're building to really help organizations bring their data to life with AI so that everyone can sort of benefit from it. And as you will see in a bit, we got a whole bunch of capabilities that are coming in. And the thing that I want to focus on today, and this is where I'm working in, is Tableau Pulse. How do we enable everyday people to interact with data? And before I actually get deep into what Tableau Pulse is, how we're approaching the problem, I want to call out one of those trends that we've really seen. And this is how people really these days expect a consumer-like experience from business software, right? This is where we're talking about things that are, people are communicating with each other. The way they consume information has dramatically changed. They don't want something static. They don't want something flat. They want something more interactive, immersive, and engaging. And when we think of who these people are, this is where I think the interesting thing comes in. We like to define these people as your business users. So for those of you on this call, if you're deep in data science, think of these people as the people that are consuming your outcome, consuming your notebooks, consuming your dashboards, consuming all these views and findings that you generate. These are the people that are not necessarily tabloids, which we like to call our data rock stars, or people that are familiar with Tableau. And they do not stick to any single data or BI tools for their job. And in fact, it's not a requirement that they know these skills on demand. But these are also the people who would want some kind of single data points and KPIs, right? When you talk data, when you talk analytics with them, first thing to think about is not, I want a bar chart showing the distribution, or I want a histogram of showing the distribution of a continuous variable. That's not what they want. What they want is actually those single digit numbers that they can just keep track of. And in fact, they want to stay up to date on what's new on those numbers. So it's not just a static report. And these are also the people that really have limited time and bandwidth and attention span, to be honest, to really stay informed and also stay interested, right? But oftentimes they want to say, hey, I want to ask my own questions. And these are not just the simple data questions. These are business questions, right? So you have to probably go back in there and try to do something to really connect what you're doing with the business outcome. And these are also the people that always want to drill down into what's given. So simply said, they crave for more than just a 2D flat dashboard. They want something that is more dynamic. They want something that is more interactive. And finally, these are the people that are proud to share their findings and really engage others so that they can make decisions together or take actions together. So that's how we're thinking about what this profile of users are. These are your business users. These are people in service, again, in service, marketing, finance, sales, that are not necessarily in data today. And so now let's imagine a world where these people start their day by receiving a digest, right? Where they can get an update on the metrics that they care about. And they can explore the details that they want to dive deeper and understand what is happening. And more importantly, they want to get to the why. So there's all these automated insights that are built already on these metric definitions so that they can drill down and discover why it's happening. And of course, to be able to ask all these follow-up questions on demand in a conversation-like interface. And of course, tying all that back to what they're doing, to their job in business, to finally share with their team. So that goes without saying, that's what we're building with Tableau Pulse. And the goal here really is to make data easy for everyone in an organization, not just for the analysts or the select few who know how to interact with data. So by doing that, we want to deliver personalized, contextual, and smart insights to people's flow of work. And this entire vision, after hearing all that, I do want to tell you is built on 3 major components. And I hope this will spark some inspirations for what you're doing in the future. And of course, each of them is infused with AI. So starting from the far left, we have these next generation experiences, which we'd like to consider to be contextual, actionable in the flow of work. So think about these could be your email or Slack surfaces where you work today, where you check your work, where you collaborate, so that you can receive all the information and intel right in that without coming into any single BI tool. And then this sort of second layer is the insight platform, which is how we think of automating intelligent analytics to answer not just the what happened, but the why it did, the what else happened, how so, and even the so what can I do. And the last piece, really, all this tying together is based on the metrics layer, which is what we believe to be the single source of truth for all your business logic and your metric definitions. And you will see in a bit how I think this is really crucial to our business users and enabling all our customers. And so, again, what are metrics? What is that metric layer that I just talked about? We believe that metrics are the language of your business. And when I say this is it's a foundational shift from how we think about analytics before. It used to be that, hey, when we talk about what is the language of data, people always think about it's the viz. But in an organization, in a company, when people talk about data, they always come in the form of those data points. Again, going back to those single-digit numbers that people want to keep track of, and those are always encapsulated in the form of a metric. So think about them like a measure like sales, right? It's not just a single measure, but it's an experience object in the sense that you can interact with it, you can share it, you can follow, you can track goals on it, you can collaborate with other people on it in the flow of work. So it's contextual, it's consistent across the layer. It's also an analytical object in the sense that instead of formulating a complex query where it used to be sum of sales over order date, maybe some additional value filters and time filters on top of it, and all those definitions are now captured in a single object so that you can really easily share and scale across your organization. And finally, it's a semantic object, in the sense that if people are interested, of course, they can filter it onto their own view. And of course, because we know now the definition that is consistent across these layers, instead of one metric built in 10 different dashboards, now we can say, based on this metric and based on what you're following, what are the things that matter to you? What are the things that are happening to it? What are the things that can help you take decisions? So to automate the insights on top of these metrics. And instead of telling you about this, I figured that the best way is to just show you a video. Of course, you can still see this video online, but I just want to give you a brief look. Hope that's going to be more immersive.
Let me show you how Tableau Pulse, powered by Tableau AI, is reimagining the way anyone interacts with data. Like many of you, I start my day in Slack. With Pulse, I can get a personalized digest on the key metrics that I follow and matter most to me. Now, AI looks at what's happening across the board and delivers a crisp summary upfront so that I know what to focus on in just 2 seconds. Here, I see an unusual uptick in device sales. This is great news, but I do need to understand more, so let's click in. On the metric detail page, I can clearly see this latest anomaly picked up by Tableau and visually explained to me. I can also explore metadata on the metric that our analyst friends helped define so that I can trust what I'm seeing. And if I want, I can filter this view to my own liking while respecting my security context. Now that I know what I'm looking at, what about the why? Guided questions suggested by AI help me phrase what I want to ask but don't necessarily know how. Here, I'm interested to know which product drove this sudden increase. With one click, I get a plain, natural language insight accompanied by a visualization, all coming from Tableau. This insight here shows me the top drivers behind this change, ePhones and Simpson phones. And of course, I have my own questions too. Now in this case, I'm wondering if we'll fulfill the phone orders. So I can simply start by typing in Pulse, where smart and contextual recommendations come up at every step with the help of AI. And there you have it. Another metric, another insight, all answering my questions at the speed of thought. Now, what's happening behind the scenes is Pulse detects business critical insights such as drivers, trends, forecasts, and outliers, all with trusted statistical calculations from Tableau, where AI can make the language more consumable and deliver them to you proactively so that all of us can see and understand data. But it doesn't stop there. What if I want to stay on top of these changes and share my findings? In just 2 clicks, my entire team now is following inventory fill rate, so they can start tracking and acting on it too. And just to confirm that, I can back out to my personal homepage where I'll be able to see inventory fill rate alongside other metrics I care about. And the best part is, Pulse isn't just limited to Tableau. It's everywhere you and your teams work today. Like in email, where you can get a daily dose of your metrics. Or on your phone, where you can receive insights on the go. And in Slack, as you saw earlier, where you get to collaborate more easily. But what about Salesforce? Well, you guessed it. I land in Salesforce and find the Pulse homepage deeply embedded with all my favorite metrics in one place. And clicking into the metric here, I see the same detailed view with the same interactions that we've seen. Okay, we trust it. We're familiar with it. It's quick to find and easy to use. Now, all of us can truly succeed from anywhere. This is Tableau Pulse, metrics and insights reimagined, powered by Tableau AI to enhance and accelerate everyone, to make informed decisions fast, and to take actions on data. Thanks for listening.
All right. I just pretended that I did that entire demo live, and you can pretend so that it happened. Anyways, so that was it. That was how Pulse looks like in general, and we're actually going to be GA very soon, later February, early March. So very excited to see that more customers can interact with it very soon. So really, again, what we think that makes Pulse such a special product, right? From what we've seen, is the goal there again is to get everyone, all our customers and their organizations, to be 100% data driven, so that everyone can sort of make decisions with it and take actions on it. But again, it's infused with AI, and this is really our logic there. It's not that AI is the foundation of this product; it's that we're building up all these foundational layers that leads up to it. And now AI is just building that layer up top so that it's making it more digestible, more consumable, more rewarding, and more engaging. And it really, as we go deeper and deeper, the system is trying to answer proactively instead of answering just reactively, right? And it's really what we're trying to do is to push all these data and insights into where people work. So it's data everywhere. And foundationally, the logic there is that we want it to be analytics for everyone, not just the select few. So how does that tie in with the sort of the rest of the roadmap that we're trying to build for Tableau AI, right? If you think about, again, that logic where it's trying to help everyone, Tableau AI is everywhere, embedded in the Tableau platform to help everyone, not just the business users. Again, how do we supercharge the analysts, and how do we give admins that sort of shared platform for trust? And so that leads to our other innovations, such as Einstein Copilot for Tableau, which I think is a lot more relevant for this group of folks, to see how, hey, if you're just starting out, trying Tableau, trying to learn how to do data analytics, this is a tool that helps you raise your data skills with AI. And in the future, we hope that it can bring faster and higher quality, exploration from analytics, so that instead of having to figure out how to use this tool, you can just use it. So a couple of things I want to say here, and again, I hope some of these features that are coming in this suite of features that we like to call Einstein Copilot for Tableau has a bunch of things that might help you ideate when you build your data products. For instance, there is in-context assistance, in the sense that instead of trying to go to documentation and see how things do, or look up a YouTube video, you can get in-context help. And you can also kickstart your analytics directly instead of starting from a blank state. There's always suggested questions that you can go through that helps you build business faster. And it also allows you to dive deeper into analysis and just have conversations with your data to get all those automated analytics. And there's also what we're trying to do is to improve the viz quality and dashboard quality, in the sense that this tool itself is coming with built-in visual best practices, so that you don't have to figure out how do I make this more beautiful or more attractive to our users. And with all the system in every step, we're making sure that you get the guidance where you need, and we're making sure that there's always a human in the loop, instead of letting the LLM do the things crazy and without any boundaries. We always make sure that you're here to check out the work that's done, and you're always in command. And last piece, of course, is to boost productivity, right? It's to automate all these known curation and all these repetitive tasks that you know what to do already. Or maybe you're just starting out to learn. Like for instance, if you're trying to build smarter calculations, you might not know how to write a regex expression for how to clean up certain columns or organize in certain shapes. And that's where you can just simply type in natural language and get all those answers that are directly generating things right inside Tableau. It can also, help you bootstrap and, really fast track all these creation of contents that might be a little bit repetitive. And you can also scale them really easily across the platform with things like more actionable data, more actionable metadata. Excuse me. All right. So what I want to say here is, before we wrap up, really what we're trying to build with Tableau AI, Tableau Pulse, and all these amazing innovations that are coming is to refocus the task at hand. Again, innovations in AI are not here to replace. Our belief is that they will enhance and accelerate what people already do today. And whether you're an analyst who's skilled with Tableau, who knows how to do dashboarding, or you're just a business user trying to consume the outcome of analytics, there's always something here for you. And actually, this is before I really wrap up, this is the last piece I want to hit on, is the trust piece, which is really, as we saw earlier, as I mentioned, generative AI can lie, and there's always inaccurate, there's always inaccuracy, there's always hallucination in the generation. How to make sure that bias and toxicity is minimized in the process, right? And we're making sure that actually, as a part of Tableau AI, all these are accounted for, so that, for instance, all generative AI requests in Tableau, at least, go through the Einstein trust layer. And this is the shared source of truth that we're building for all Salesforce AI applications. And you can see here, there's a little diagram that showcases how this works. I'm not going to go into details, but you can imagine, if it's generative AI, there's always going to be some kind of a secure data retrieval starting at the beginning, so that your generations can be grounded on truths. And then we can apply optional masking to make sure that, for instance, things like personal identification numbers, like the PII sensitive data, all those sort of stuff are accounted for when the data is sent out to any models, whether that's within the Salesforce boundary, as in the models that are built in-house, or with our trusted secure partners such as OpenAI that we're collaborating with. And we're making sure there's always a zero retention policy, in the sense that no third parties can ever retain the data that are sent from this layer, and they cannot retain it or use it to train their model. And we're making sure that when the generation comes back, there's always, the post-processing steps that are applied to make sure the toxicity is taken care of, and you can always go back and review all these generations. And more importantly, feedback is also part of the platform. So even when things like the fluke, when it does happen that some generations are hallucinated, people can always provide feedback so that we can improve that experience over time. Okay, so all that having said, I want to say that AI is not just generative. And in fact, we are, and we have long been in this total AI revolution since the beginning. If you think about wave one, we started off with all these predictive analytics, now moving into generative, and thinking about into the future. Now, in fact, we already have all these, foundational infrastructures built for a more agentic, approach. Like if you look at the OpenAI GPT store, if you look at even LangChain before that, right? These agents that can carry out chains of reasoning, chains of steps, chains of actions that can help you carry out tasks and reasoning for you. And maybe towards the future, as we march into artificial general intelligence, or even embodied AI, aka AI in robots. All this together, we are moving faster than ever. And so the thought that I want to leave you with to wrap up, the session today, are a couple of things. And going back to the topic of today, which is, what does all this mean for building data products? Whether you're a data scientist, a product manager in data, or if you're someone, or data analyst, even delivering dashboards or data contents to your end consumers, what does it mean? So here are the 5 things that, in my opinion, are really important. One to know is that AI is only a solution, and generative AI is only a subset of that solution. And there are, many more problems yet to be solved in data, And these are not the only ways that these are not the only techniques that you can apply to solve for those problems. And AI is also born from and scaling with data. But interestingly and reversely, it also enhances and accelerates the production and consumption of data, whether that's data contents, all these data artifacts, and so on. And what you need to do as someone in this industry or trying to ideate, right, first, is actually not to ideate, is to identify a market first, right? And also go out there, define their problem for them. A lot of the time, what I see is that people are trying to hallucinate that there is a problem out there and be like, hey, and we think this is a great solution, where they start off with a cool idea and try to find a market and try to find a problem to solve, but they most of the time end up failing. And the reason is because you need to define those first and really go talk to people. And I think that's really where the magic comes in, is when the more you understand what these people do under day-to-day, the more you understand their use cases, the better it is that you can inform the way you build your product. And you also need a great long-term strategic foundation that allows you to iterate extensively and adapt quickly over time. And this could come in the form of, when I say strategic foundation, this could come in the form of a certain artifact, a certain of a layer that is not going to be replaced really quickly, but rather can stay on. For instance, in the case of Pulse, we believe that metrics is the way to go, and that's why we're trying to double down on that. And the last piece I want to say, and hopefully this does not go without saying what we just shared, is that the faster AI advances, the more needed are trust and responsibility prioritized in the design of your product, in the design of your system. As we've seen, there's always the trust piece. And the reason why we want human in the loop is that even if AI is smart enough, is so smart that it can surpass our intelligence, and in fact, that's what AGI or artificial general intelligence is all about, there still needs to be humans somewhere that supervises how the work is being done, right? Unless it is super low level, super high risk stuff that we completely do not want to touch. That's a different story for another day, of course. All right, so that's it for my session. And really, before I wrap up, I want to quickly say that if you want to learn more about what we're doing, please check our website to see what we're doing, what we're building towards in Tableau and also at Salesforce. And we also love to see you at Tableau Conference 2024. I'm probably going to be there, so let's connect if you're there. Yeah, and that's it for the session. I'm going to hand it back to Lindsey and the team.